You wake up before everyone else, you work harder than your colleagues, you follow every rule your boss sets, and your bank account, still flat. There's a reason for that, and it has nothing to do with luck. Somewhere around 30, something shifts. The discipline that got you promoted stops getting you paid. You look at people making twice your salary working half your hours and you think they got lucky. They didn't, they just stopped doing what you're still doing. What I'm about to show you isn't about working less or cutting expenses. It's about understanding why your effort is being deposited into someone else's wealth account. Because here's the truth most people never see. After 30, discipline at a job doesn't build wealth, it funds someone else's. And every year you stay disciplined in the wrong place, you're not just broke. You're becoming more broke. While your discipline makes your employer wealthier, your financial freedom clock keeps ticking backward. Let me show you what I mean. There's a concept psychologists call productive inertia. It's when your brain mistakes motion for progress. You're busy, you're responsible. You're consistent, and because you feel productive, you assume you're building something. You're not. You're maintaining someone else's machine. Think about it. At 30, you've been in the system long enough to know the game. You've watched the promotions, you've seen the raises. And if you're honest, you know exactly how much effort it takes to move up one level. What you might not have calculated is this: the financial gap between you and freedom doesn't shrink with promotions, it widens. Because every raise you get comes with a hidden tax. More responsibility, more hours, more mental load, and that tax compounds faster than your salary grows. You're earning more, yes, but you're also getting further from the only thing that actually creates wealth: owning your time. Now here's where it gets worse. Your identity starts locking in. You become the reliable one, the person who never misses deadlines, the one who stays late. The one who fixes problems, and your employer rewards that, with titles, with recognition, with just enough money to keep you from walking away. But they're not rewarding you for building wealth, they're rewarding you for being predictable, and predictability is the opposite of scalability. When you're predictable, you're boxed, your income has a ceiling, your time has a price, and no amount of discipline inside that box will ever break you out. Let me be clear, I'm not saying hard work doesn't matter. I'm saying hard work in the wrong structure is a trap. And after 30, that trap gets tighter, because now you have more to lose. A mortgage, a family, a reputation. The stakes feel higher, so you dig in harder, more discipline, more hours, more loyalty. And that's exactly when the system has you. But here's the part no one talks about. The real cost isn't the money you're not making, it's the mental infrastructure you're building. See, when you spend years being disciplined at work, you train your brain to think in employee terms. You think in hours traded, you think in incremental raises, you think in permission structures. You stop asking, how do I create value that scales, and start asking, how do I get promoted? Those are two completely different questions, and they lead to two completely different financial lives. The person asking the first question builds assets, systems, leverage. Their wealth grows without them showing up. The person asking the second question builds a resume, and resumes don't pay dividends. Now, if you're feeling defensive right now, that's your identity protecting itself. That's normal. But ask yourself this: if you're so disciplined, so hardworking, so good at your job, why hasn't your net worth matched your effort? The answer isn't that you're not doing enough. The answer is that you're doing the wrong thing exceptionally well. Let me paint you a picture. You're 35. You've been promoted 3 times. You're making good money, not great, but good. You've got some savings, maybe a 401k. You feel responsible. You feel secure. But then you do the math. You calculate how long it would take to not need a paycheck, and the number is terrifying. 20 years, maybe 30. And that's when the realization hits. You're not building wealth, you're renting survival. You trade your time for just enough money to keep trading your time. That's not discipline, that's a treadmill. And here's the twist: the harder you work, the faster the treadmill goes. More income, higher expenses. Better job, bigger pressure, nicer title, less freedom. You're climbing, yes, but you're climbing inside someone else's business, and at the top of that ladder is just another job. So what's the alternative? Quit your job, start a business, take massive risk. Not necessarily, because the problem isn't your job, the problem is your focus. You're optimizing for the wrong outcome. You're trying to become the perfect employee when what you actually need is to become a part-time owner. And most people never make that shift because they think it's binary, employee or entrepreneur, safe or risky, stable or reckless. But that's a false choice. Here's the real move. After 30, your discipline needs to serve a different master, not your job, your assets. And I'm not talking about stocks or crypto or some guru's course. I'm talking about something simpler and more powerful, time leverage. Wealthy people don't work harder than you, they just structure their income differently. They get paid multiple times for the same effort. They build systems that run without them. They own the value they create instead of renting their hours to someone who does. And the shift doesn't require you to quit anything, it requires you to split your focus. Stop giving 100% of your mental energy to a paycheck that caps at your hours. Start giving 20% of that energy to something that compounds. That could be a side business, an investment property, a digital product, a skill that scales. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is this: you own it. It grows without permission, and it pays you more than once. Because here's the brutal truth about being broke after 30. You have less time than you think. Every year you spend being disciplined in the wrong direction is a year you can't get back. Your 20s were for learning the game. Your 30s are for changing which game you're playing. So let me reframe what discipline actually means after 30. It's not about showing up early. It's not about grinding harder. It's not about loyalty to a company that would replace you in 2 weeks. Real discipline is protecting your most valuable asset, your future earning capacity. Real discipline is saying no to the promotion that steals another 10 hours from your week. Real discipline is redirecting your effort toward income that isn't tied to your physical presence. That's the shift, that's the unlock, and most people never make it because their identity is too wrapped up in being the hardworking one. But if you're still with me, you're not most people. You're the person who's willing to look at the scoreboard and admit it's not working, and that's rare. Because most people would rather stay comfortable and broke than face the fact that their strategy is broken. Here's what happens when you make this shift. You stop feeling like you're running out of time. You stop resenting Mondays. You stop calculating how many years until retirement, because retirement stops being the goal. The goal becomes ownership, ownership of your time, ownership of your income sources, ownership of the value you create, and once you own those things, you're not broke anymore. Not because you're making millions, but because your wealth isn't capped by your hours. And that's the difference between someone who works hard their whole life and dies comfortable, and someone who works smart for 10 years and lives free for 50. Your discipline isn't the problem, your direction is. And every day you wait to change that direction is a day your future self is paying for. So ask yourself, are you building wealth or are you building someone else's? Because after 30, there's no neutral. You're either compounding or you're losing, and the clock doesn't care how disciplined you are. It only cares what you're disciplined toward.